Great. Let's get started. All right. Prashant, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Okay. So, Prashant, tell me something about yourself.
Sir, actually, I was born and brought up in a small village of Gorakhpur district in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
I come from a rather humble background. My parents, though not much educated, they have always inspired me for studies. In terms, it was my inheritance from them. So that is one of the reasons I've been very focused on my studies since childhood. I have been always at the top of my class. In my 12th board examination, I secured 14th rank in the statewide merit list. After that, I joined undergraduation in chemical engineering, and in the final year, I secured All India rank 77 in GATE examination.
Okay.
Thereafter, I joined Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, and since then, I have been working with BPCL. At present, I am posted in Kochi Refinery as shift in charge of crude unit. I lead a 15 plus of member operations team with operate a 24/7 crude station unit and aromatic recovery unit. Apart from my regular responsibility, I have been involved with steam saving because for a refinery that is a huge cost. So I have been involved with that, and as a team, we have secured a saving of 48 million rupees per annum. On my personal front, I have also modified the production philosophy of a special solvent that has given us a saving of 0.3 million per annum. Apart from coming on personal front, on my hobby side, I like to read about economics. I am really passionate about development issues and the debates surrounding it. I like to follow the current affairs and keep myself up to date with the happenings. And coming to my reason of MBA, actually, I have secured the financial stability now.
Prashant, just let's stop here. Okay, let's stop here. We'll talk about why MBA later. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure.
1 second. Just 1 second. Okay, so Prashant, tell me something. In fact, let's talk about I'm going in the direction of why MBA. Okay, so you have about close to 7 years of work experience, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you already have 7 years of work experience in BPCL,
yes,
right? Looks like this was concrete, solid work experience, right? You worked on some very interesting projects.
Yes,
your performance has been good. You have some good achievements in your belt. BPCL is a great corporation to work for.
Yes.
So I'm sure you've learned a lot in 7.5 years. You already lead a team as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why not do an executive MBA at this time? Why do you want to do a full-time MBA? Because I'll tell you what, the average work experience, if you take any MBA, premium MBA institute in India, is
Yes,
about
sir.
2 to 3 years of the students coming in. Your work experience is way above the average.
Yes.
For you, I think it's better if you go for an executive MBA. Why are you wanting to do a full-time MBA?
So for that, I've compared the options.
Okay.
Like, shall I go for a 2-year program or 1-year program? And I have interacted with the people on social media platforms, with my friends. And what I've come to realize that a 1-year program is a more like a crash course. What should be a 2-year program? Even when I compare the courses and the length of the type of electives and everything, like even in the terms of core courses, 2-year program is much more enriching. Most of the institute, the second year will be fully dedicated for the electives. So in terms of learning, it gives me a really broad opportunity. Like it will be a lifelong learning. So I'm not in a hurry to just finish it off and again go back to job market. I want to have this experience and a more holistic experience. And one more reason that been like I have an experience of 7 years, but my experience has been pretty much technical. Like we have a very closed environment. There is not much outside exposure or the exposure to other domain of management like finance or strategy or planning in terms of that. And I would like that I have a solid technical background with equally strong managerial background if I have, which I will be getting in 2-year program. I think I can do much better in my future.
Okay. All right. All right, let's talk about this a little more. Okay. See, first of all, when I said executive MBA, I meant an executive MBA that you can do along with your work.
Okay.
Okay. See, for a person like you who has seven years of work experience or 7+ years of work experience, leaving your work and investing 2 years in a full-time MBA,
Yes,
right?
sir.
There's a lot of opportunity costs associated with it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
You're not going to be earning for 2 years,
Yes, sir.
right? And you have to invest heavily in terms of effort and money in a full-time MBA.
Yes, sir.
Executive MBA nowadays has some great options. You can continue working and
Yes,
you
sir.
can do your exec MBA on the side.
Okay.
Isn't that a win-win situation?
Sir, when I coming to education part, I would like to fully focus on the education part, like not be in terms of worried about the job and the MBA both. I want my full focus on the getting the education, and I believe that I have done the calculations for the opportunity cost. That yeah, but I with the average package also in my 5 to 6 years, I will be recovering my cost and the learning will be for the lifetime. So
what kind of calculations have you done for opportunity cost? I'd love to discuss.
So that actually at present my in-hand salary comes around 1 lakh per month.
Okay.
And I have my personal savings that
Right.
apart, and I have planning for education loan or something around 25 lakhs.
Right.
25 lakhs. So that will be coming around after 7 to 7.5 interest rate. That will be around 35 lakhs I have to pay in total, like
Okay.
a rough estimate what I have done. And I will not be earning for the 2 years, so that amounts to 24 lakhs.
Right.
So clubbing together, that comes to a opportunity cost of 60 lakhs in the next 2 years.
Right. Okay.
And taking the average CTC of 30 lakhs and a two-third if I get in hand, conservative approximation or two-third estimate, that will be come around 20 lakhs per annum. So that
Okay.
will straight away give me 8 lakhs per annum a boost. Like I'm earning 12 lakhs per annum, that will give 8 lakhs. So in the next 6 to 7 years, I will be recovering my costs.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Just give me 1 second. All right. What are your post-MBA plans, Prashant?
Sir, I come from the operations background, so there is a natural inclination for operations management. But as one of my reasons also that I want an exposure to the other domain as well. So I'm not very fixated on the what I'm going to do, which stream I'm going to choose. But yeah, in the immediate term, I aim to get a role which have more wider responsibility as opposed to
Okay.
my current role, which is pretty much limited in the sense purely technical. I want a more wider exposure, not only the technical aspect, but also the financial, HR, marketing, that kind of aspect also.
Okay. So I understand that currently your experience is limited to technical,
Yes.
but you also have people management experience. You lead
Yes.
a team,
Yes,
right?
yes.
When you talk about wider responsibilities, you said that you want a role that has elements of finance, HR, marketing, everything. Do roles like that exist, Prashant, where you
Sir,
get experience of all domains?
Like not at least I have the experience. So once you go up the ladder, I believe you have to have the idea of all the domains. Like only sticking to one domain, there is not much opportunity to go up the ladder. So once you go up the ladder, there
But
will
give me examples of roles that you know in the corporate world that have elements of finance, HR, marketing, operations, everything. Any examples that you can think of?
Sir, mostly in the PSUs, like in my current company, we have verticals called SBU, Strategic Business Units.
Okay.
And their heads are normally termed as ED, Executive Director. In the strategic business unit, in the verticals, in each verticals, there will be executive directors who are the head of the overall business unit. And below them, there are people from various domains.
Okay.
That is as a ED, you are supposed to have an idea of all the domains, what is happening in which areas to lead a team. That is on a higher level. Even in the middle management level also, sir, because if we start compartmentalizing the things or the domains, what happens suppose even the minor issues, they can trust some bigger issues. So a minor HR issue, if I can handle, my plant manager can manage. it should be handled that and then and there. Otherwise, it can lead to a bigger issues. So not in terms of a one-man army, but more like a jack of all trades. That's
Okay.
what.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's be a little specific. So let's say if you get into a good P school, you complete your MBA.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Um, give me some companies and roles in those companies that you're excited about at this point in time. I do understand you're coming in with an open mind. Okay, and you'll explore later. But
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure there are some companies and some roles within those companies that you're interested in.
Yes.
Give me specifics.
Sir, with my current profile, there are scopes like conglomerates like Tata Group or Aditya Birla or L&T. So on personal, like I just there is Tata Administrative Services, which is a general management company. So this kind of general
So
management role,
repeat the last point, Prashant. I didn't get that.
sir, Tata Administrative Services, which is
Right.
a
Okay. Okay.
Gen Man company, like that kind of role, which is as of now, I am looking forward to, but as we already discussed, that I'm not very fixated upon that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So Prashant, 7 years in close to 7 years in BPCL, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about BPCL. What's the business all about? What kind of company is it? What do you guys deal in? Just give me a brief sort of introduction of BPCL as an organization.
Okay, sir. So BPCL is a public sector undertaking. It's
Right.
an oil marketing company, and in terms of market share, it is the second largest Indian oil OMC after
Okay.
Indian Oil. We
Okay.
primarily deal with crude oil refining. That is our
Okay.
primary business, where we import crude oils and then they are refined to various products, mostly with the fuels like petrol, diesel, cooking fuels like LPG, ATF, that kind of. Recently, we have also diversified into petrochemicals, where
Okay.
we have been making petrochemicals like acrylic acid, oxal, coal, which are primarily used in resin industry, then cushion industry, resin, and paint industry, and there are some application also in pharma industry. So
Okay.
that's about BPCL. That's what we do. We have got a very pan India presence. The
Okay.
BPCL has some 20,000 plus petrol pumps across the
Mhm.
country,
Mhm.
6,000 plus LPG distributors. So we have very wide presence. We are also in the upstream business with some blocks in Mozambique and Russia.
Sorry, which business is that? Say that again.
Upstream business, like where we
Okay.
have a stake in oil and gas fields.
Right. Okay.
So that is there, sir. And recently now we have also been moving in electric mobility. Also, that is going to be the future. So we have also delved in, venture into that field as well.
Okay.
So that's about BPCS.
Okay. Okay. Is BPCL listed on the stock exchange, Prashant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you give me an idea of the current share price?
Sir, it's something around 400 rupees.
400 rupees. Okay. All right. And how was BPCL's performance last year?
Sir, last year in terms of revenue, the total revenue was close to 3 lakh crore.
Okay.
And our profit was something around 19,000 crore.
Okay. Okay. So clearly very, very robust performance last year, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Last year
Okay.
was pretty robust. One reason for that, like normal, if we see the last 5 to 6 years average, we are close to in the range of 8 to 10,000 crore profit. Last year, since the BPCL is listed for going to be privatized, so we have offloaded our stake in the Numaligarh refinery that is in Assam. So
Okay.
that also give a one-time gain. So that's how we have come up to 19,000 crore.
Interesting. Interesting. So this Assam refinery, okay, I have a couple of questions there. So the performance has been strong over the years, right?
Yes, sir.
BPCL has been doing quite well.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Why does the government want to privatize it then? Doesn't make sense.
Sir, I have to answer in one line, and what the government philosophy over the world has been that the government has no business to be in business, because
Okay.
once we start a public sector, certain kind of issues which are specific to public sector that creeps in, and in the long run, with the kind of efficiency the private sector derived out of the same capital, that cannot be possible in the public sector, primarily because of the profit motive other than the social responsibility, which is also being catered by the public sector undertakings.
Okay, so you're saying it's sort of like difficult to balance profits and the social responsibility
Yes.
the government has. That's why they want to privatize it.
Yes, sir. That is
Okay.
there.
I understand. I understand this. So BPCL has been a public undertaking for a very long time,
Yes.
right? It's been successful for a very long time.
Yes, sir.
What I don't understand is, I understand there's a rush to privatize a lot of public sector undertakings, but when BPCL is performing so well, what is this rush all about? Why is there a sudden rush? Like why did the government suddenly decide last year to privatize it when it's been doing so well over so many years?
Sir, I won't say there is a rush because the process has been in the almost 2 years, and even the last week, as per newspaper reports, the government is still waiting for the bidders to come. It will be a competitive process. So I won't say there is a rush to privatize, but yeah, one reason could be the government is.
Prashant, there is a rush to privatize, right? I mean, they're not getting bidders. That's a different reason, right? That's putting a brake on their overall disinvestment target.
Yes, sir.
But don't you think there is a rush to privatize? I mean, we have LIC, we have Air India, we have BPCL. Isn't there a rush to privatize?
In the rush, in the sense, because these reforms are pending for a very long time. That's not the first time some government is trying to privatize. Even in the first time of India government in 2001, there were PSUs which are privatized. So, and it's a long pending reform, has been there. But only thing is that the political will and the majority in the parliament that was needed over the period, it has been there. So now the government is pushing for it. One reason which I could think of that the government, since given there is large push for infrastructure, as also was in the recent budget also. So they need, at the end of the day, they need money, and the tax to GDP tax collection is still, we are below par in terms of our tax collection to tax to GDP ratio. So their government has to look into the other avenues for resources, and PSUs are going to one of the resources, sir.
Okay. All right. So you're in favor of this privatization of BPCL? You think it's a good thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are the cons? I'm sure there are some cons to this process, right?
Sure.
Since you're in favor, I would love to know. Give me 2 points why you think this is not a good idea.
Sir, in terms not a good idea, I have to say one thing could be the job losses. There might be there. Although we are a pretty much lean company already, even after BPCL, we have not, from the last 3 years, there have been not recruitments. So we are already pretty lean in terms of that. But for the senior people who are in the mid 40s and 50s, there might be a difficulty for them. So that is going to be a difficult. For that, the government might push a VRS scheme. So that will be one help there. Other thing I could think of that, sir, there are certain responsibilities, like there were schemes like people who lose their lives in army or in other kind of social services. Their family members sometimes get incentives like a petrol pump and all to support them. And in a private sector, I don't think that is happening. So on the social responsibility fund, it may be limited to the CSR, not going beyond the requirement things that might be missing from a private player.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Prashant, what are you aware of Rangoon Oil and Exploration Company? Have you ever heard of this?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Sir, actually, the BPCL, the original thing was a Burma cell.
Okay.
So there is a genesis actually. And these are Rangoon Oil and Burma Cell. These are the pre-independence private companies which were involved in exploration and refining in the India, sir.
Okay. Got it. Okay. You spoke about competitors earlier, right? So you said the biggest competitor is Indian Oil.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the key difference between Indian Oil and BPCL? And there is HPCL as well.
Yes.
Right. Why don't you take these three sort of organizations into consideration and tell me the key difference between each one of them?
Sir, if compared to IOCL, the first key difference is the scale. They operate 11 refineries across India.
Who operates 11 refineries?
Indian Oil.
Indian Oil. Okay.
Indian Oil operates 11 refineries across India.
Okay.
BPCL had got only 3 and HPCL is only 2, and HPCL recently have been acquired by ONGC. So if we count the Mangalore also, so it will be 3. So
Are
that,
these all public sector undertakings?
yes sir, yes sir. All the
So
public.
why is the government not wanting to privatize Indian Oil and HPCL?
Sir, HPCL was the first choice, but before BPCL. But that time it was bought by ONGC itself.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
And for IOCL, it's a matter of pure size, like the kind of capital will be required, because even with BPCL, which is nearly, I would say, if I have to approximate, and I'm not very sure about that, 50% of IOCL, and the bidders are not yet available for them. So for IOCL of that bigger size, it will be very difficult. It's like selling the LIC altogether. So that is the difference.
Got it. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Last question on this front. So you spoke about this Assam refinery that BPCL has recently acquired, right? What's the name of the refinery? Sorry.
It's a Numaligarh Refinery Limited, and BPCL not
Numaligarh. Okay.
Yes, NRL, Numaligarh Refinery Limited. It was a joint venture between BPCL, Oil India, and Assam government. BPCL is not required recently, since the BPCL is going to be privatized. So what government has decided that, given the strategic location in northeast of this refinery, government is going to keep it under public sector already. So there, Oil India has bought the stake of BPCL. So now the BPCL has entirely offered its entire stake in NRL. So now
So it's not going to be privatized. It's going to remain. It's going to remain with the government. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. All right, Prashant. So Prashant, you said you have some people management experience, right?
Yes, sir.
How long? So you said you lead a team of 15 people. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long have you been leading this team?
Sir, when we joined for the initial 3 years, I was a panel engineer. After 3 years, I was promoted to assistant manager and became shift in charge. So since from last 4 years, I have been leading this team.
So you've been leading a team for the last 4 years. Okay, yes, got it. Prashant, look back into those 4 years. Look back in these 4 years, okay, and give me the biggest challenge that you faced as a people manager while leading this team, and be as specific as possible.
So, my refinery is in Kochi, in heart of Kerala, and Kerala is known for the labor union issues.
Okay.
So, if I have to it's not any specific instance, but the major friction point which comes is the getting things with when the union gets involved.
Okay.
Because union is pretty strong here.
Right.
So like we have been trying to cut the overtime of the non-management staff. So there have been a push from union to not go ahead with it.
Okay.
So what we did, instead of cutting the overtime and all together, what we did, we asked them to pre-plan their leaves for the next 1 month, except the emergency leaves.
Okay.
And with that, we have been able to cut down the overtime substantially, because what was happening earlier, that they were doing it when they desire. And once we asked to start the planning, so union also can't say much about that, because we are simply asking you, give us a plan for next 1 month that I can plan. And it helped us to cut down the overtime cost actually.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you spoke about Kerala is known for labor union issues, right?
Yes,
what did you mean by that?
Elaborate on that. On that front, that Kerala, here unions are pretty much active. Like they go on a strike on a drop of hat. Like it has been instances they have been gone for flash strike, and political affiliation is also pretty strong. Given this left has been ruling Kerala since the independence, so there is a natural stronghold of those kind of policies in Kerala.
Okay.
The people have been saying that this labor reforms which need to be implemented are not implemented in Kerala as in the other state of the India.
Okay. Okay. You don't seem to be in support of labor unions. Would that be a correct assumption to make?
No, sir. I won't say. What I meant to say that it's not a politicized. I don't favor the politicization of labor unions.
Isn't that pan India? Why is that only specific to Kerala? Isn't the politicization of labor unions something which happens across India?
So it happens across India, but the kind of support the unions get in Kerala and the kind of interlinking between the parties and the union, because like the left parties are known for having a very strong union connection.
Okay. Okay.
So sometimes what happens, like I have to give you an example, like even in the union front itself, there are different party gets involved. So for the same issue, some union might support it, some union might oppose it, depending upon the government in the state, not what happening in the company itself, what is happening in the national or state politics. So
Okay.
I do not support that. I believe that the union issue should be on the level of union and the factory level, not on the
Okay.
state level politics.
Okay. Okay. All right. Give me one example. So, of course, I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of experience in interacting with labor unions, right? Um, Give me one instance in the last 4 years or in the entire tenure that you've been with BPCL, where you think the union was right and BPCL was wrong. Was there an instance like that?
Mm, Sir, at present, I can't think of anything as such, because what we have for any work or any job, a kind of operating procedures. And these are usually prepared in consultation with both the management and the non-management both. So if there is any deviation, normally the other party will not support it at all. So all the
Right.
regular things are already documented. So I can't recall anything where we have been asked to go for violating the procedure or
No, no, I'm not talking about violating of procedures. Let's say, for instance, the union, I'm sure, has demands from time to time,
yes.
right? Like there was a conflict around overtime that you discussed with me, right?
Yes, sir.
What I'm trying to say is that in terms of the issues that BPCL has had with the labor unions in the time you've been there, was there an instance where you felt that this was a reasonable demand by the labor union, which was not heeded by BPCL?
And I will not say particular to BPCL as such, because like I can think of one example, like where
Right.
my personal inclination is that it has to have been resolved. Like for the labor unions, what they have something called 10-year program, like we have take mission. For them, it is called long-term settlement.
Okay.
So at times these things keep on getting pushed, because
Okay.
from both sides there is bit of reluctance to get the best of each other and not a sense of compromise. So
Right.
sometimes it gets delayed, and what happens if once it gets implemented also, it will come effect in the back date. So I personally believe that these kind of negotiations will happen in advance, so they won't get pushed away a lot. Other
Okay.
than that,
Okay.
sir, I can't think of anything else.
Okay. In terms of leading the team of 15 that you've led, Prashant, in the last 4 years, talk to me about your biggest mistake that you've made as a people manager.
Uh, So I learned on the job. So if I have to, what I made the biggest mistake actually turned out to be the biggest learning also, which I still follow till date. Like when you're leading a team of 15 plus people, or any number of team in that matter, like I am now 27, and the team which I lead have people as old as 50 also.
Right.
So like for the new managers and new leaders, it's prone to the authority. I am totally for it, but it should not come as a crossing a boundary. What I believe, a leader should be more patient. So in the beginning, I was bit impatient with my people. Like I wanted to, like bit impatient and giving one way. Over the period of time, I've learned that if you're leading a team, first and foremost, you got to be a good listener. Because when
Right.
people come to you with problems,
Prashant, I get where you're going. I need a specific instance. So you said that you were impatient with the team in the beginning, right? Give me a
yes.
specific instance where you think you went wrong.
Sir, like in the beginning, in the very beginning, I think within 3 to 4 months, when I became shift in charge, we were supposed to hand over an equipment, a pump for maintenance.
Okay.
So, like normally, it will take 4 to 5 hours to drain and to make the pump ready. So, handing over for the maintenance activity. And I was in night shift. So, normally, like this kind of activities, people try to avoid in night shift. But since it was a critical pump, so I was very much adamant on that we should do in night shift itself.
Okay.
So what happened actually, like when you are trying to isolate, it got hydrocarbon spill, and we have to call the running maintenance in the night. So the amount of work actually got increased.
Okay.
So instead of cutting the time down, it actually delayed by one more shift, that is almost 8 hours. So
Okay.
that's where I learned that we have to be like, because people are there in the field from last 50, 30 to 20, 25 years. So they got an experience, and you have to be more open to listening.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So Prashant, you've been in a situation where you were probably the youngest in your team and you were leading this team, right?
Yes.
Okay. If you get into a B school, the situation is kind of going to be reversed.
Yes.
You'll probably be one of the older students in your batch. Okay.
Yes.
In your batch, you can expect a lot of freshers, okay, who've just completed the undergraduation, right? And they'll be doing the same program in the same school as you, right? And there'll be a considerable age difference between you and them.
Yes,
Not only age difference, a huge difference in experience as well.
Yes,
right? There are people who are in the final year
yes,
who would come and do a MBA immediately after their undergraduation, right?
yes, yes.
How are you going to work with these teammates? They'll have no work experience. In terms of maturity, also they'll be way less than you. How will you manage that?
Sir, on that front, I don't see much of problem, because even though I have a 7-year experience, in my team also, the other management staff, my juniors, I am pretty much good friends with them also. The people that joined after me, that is there. And in terms of learning, the peer learning part, I believe that work is not the only part where I can learn from the juniors or the people who have come out of the college. That is only a part of learning. Like there has to be every person has got the entirely different background and perspective. So I will be open to that. So I don't see that as a much bigger challenge to adjust to that environment, sir.
Okay. All right. My final question for you is, give me your top 2 weaknesses.
So one thing which I have been told, and I also feel that at times I tend to overthink. Like maybe sometimes details are not that much required. I tend to delve into that. So what I have been doing that for, I have been trying to be more prompt. And another weakness, outside my work, I come as a bit of reserved person. So that sometimes people may think that I'm trying to avoid them, but I am just being in my zone per se.
Okay. How are you working on the second aspect?
For that, sir, I have been joining the impromptu groups. Like I will trying to initiate conversation with, like we only the people coming to visit us, like the contractors or the vendors. These kind of people were coming. I try to initiate not only to my plant but to other plants also. So I try to have a conversation. It will start with a technical conversation, but I try to have a personal touch also there, sir.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. We'll end the interview here, Prashant.